So 4 months in. Happy New Year to everybody. January 2nd of 2022. Hope for all of us it's a better year than the last one was, because frankly 2021 did not impress the hell out of me. So where are we at? Well, I feel like I didn't get as much done this month, but maybe I did. Maybe it's just the way it's going. So let's start with some stuff from last month. All right, fuel valve update. So I think I have a solution to relocating my fuel valve, and it involves, we talked about it last month. For me, I feel it's too close to my ankle, that I want to be able to get that sucker. We think we have a solution involving, the driving part of it would actually be a 1/4 inch ratchet extension and universal. Stay tuned. So we've just started fabricating stuff for that. It's kind of been waylaid by things like my SolidWorks subscription running out at the end of the year. Some of the parts have to be 3D printed. So we're starting to put some doors together, and before I cover it all up, I thought I'd bring you up to date, because probably by the time I get around to filming the bulk of it, well, you won't be able to see the work we did anymore. Anyway, door skins are being installed right now. Hopefully you can see all those. And just a quick word on what we've done and some other things that by the time you see it will be done, so I won't be able to demo them very easily. For whatever reason, as I put the door skins on, the hinge notches didn't seem to quite line up, so I have had to add some plates. This is the front door. It is in its middle ground. That is, I put the countersunk stainless rivets in it. I bent the top lip over a little bit up here, and I've gone back and filled the rivet heads with epoxy and low density filler. The back door has gone the next step yet, which is, you can see it's in primer, and it's rattle can primer. And all I'm going to say now for Colby, if you're watching this, don't feel bad. I use a ton of the stuff, and if you use it properly, it's just fine. You'll get a good bond out of it. We've used it for years on stuff, but you've got to prep the surface. So that surface was cleaned, Scotch-Brighted, and cleaned again, and then epoxy, and we'll see. I don't know if you can see my rivet line up here. Okay, riveting was done, and the window cut out. So I spent yesterday with a friend of mine helping me figure that out. And then again, we've got our plates. This one got a little mangled. This is probably the worst looking of the two. I have to see if I can clean up this bottom edge, and I'll show you guys how I do those plates. It's kind of cool. I use where I have strips of metal that are too thin to put in normal rivets, or I need ultra flush rivets both sides. I can do that with welding rod, and I'll show you guys how to do that. But the welding rod becomes the rivets. Got a better looking one down here. I'm getting better at it as I go. So there we go. There it is. Now, the goal was not to hide the rivets with the filler. You could do that. You wanted to over-sink them a little bit. What I used was West System epoxy and microlite fairing filler. And is, if you look at the back edge, hopefully you can see this. And you can see where I put the marks in here, and you can see a little gape in the door in a couple of places. And this is where the metal bent around, where we bent the metal around the frame. The problem is you have it tapering to a cone back here at the second overlap, and that's going to need to be dealt with. And the way we're going to deal with that is we are going to hit it on a shrinker. And this is one of my Harbor Freight tools. I don't use it a ton, but I've had pretty good luck with it with other fairings. All right, I lied. All right, I want to show you the next part. Somebody already came into the shop and asked me a question. So what I have here is a dolly. It's part of a set I bought. Again, a Harbor Freight set. You use it as a backer. This is a Planishing Hammer. There are pneumatic versions of this, and what we're going to do, let me see if I can just set this up so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going along to that roughened metal edge, because let's go in here. You can see it's kind of chewed up, and you can feel that texture. That's the teeth biting. And what I'm doing is I'm just knocking the worst of that out. Some of it will come out via sanding, and honestly, some of it's gonna get filled with spot primer. And I'm just lightly working it, and I'm dragging the hammer as I go. And I've got a bunch of different dollies, so I can work the corners. And it looks like it's not doing anything, but it's actually beginning to drive this smooth on both sides. So, okay, so I thought I was done with the shrinking stretching when I did the front cargo door, and I have to do some shrinking back here to get it to lay down. But, and I'm sure there's probably another way to do this, but we're now looking at the rear cargo door, back edge, along here, and it wouldn't open properly. And I'm down to 3/8 of an inch of overlap, which is what I want for the seal. And so we'll see if this will show this. You can do it to see, but not only do you have stretchers available to you, but usually they come in a set. So there's a shrinker, which is what we use for that door. And now I'm using a stretcher to curve this back out. That and a planishing hammer and dolly. So I'll give you a couple. Okay. So this is easier with 2 people. And Jill's gonna work the handle on the stretcher. Yeah, I've got it on right there. And we're gonna go top side up and choose the door up a little less, and then I'll clean that up with a planishing hammer and a dolly. And I need 2 things. I need room for the cloth under here, because there's gonna be cloth wrapped around that door sill, and I need maybe enough for it to open up. We'll see. I've got a little bend already from working it. So let's see what we get. Are you ready, dear? Okay, we're just gonna work our way along. Go ahead. Yeah, that's better. And you can see, okay. So what you can see is you can see ripples beginning to form in this edge. And that's because we thinned the metal very slightly here. And so it's beginning to ripple. Now I need to convince it which way I need it to go. So do me a favor, let's pull that out. And I'm going to grab dolly and a planishing hammer, and I'll just work it up here in front of the... Should begin to get is a little bit of a dish here. Second time it tried to screw me by not coming on when I thought it was recording. Anyway, we still have a bulge back here, but not nearly as not nearly as bad as it was. Probably do a little more shrinking up here, or maybe I'm just going to put a rubber gasket in here, which I need to do anyway to make sure it doesn't leak, seep, or let cold air in. I haven't decided. We were also doing the back door, and this came out, got a little bit better on this one. We've got a nice fit in here now. And the problem was this door actually wouldn't open properly, and it now will. It'll open to, I don't know, 80 or 90 degrees. Not perfect. I don't think there are any guys restoring cars who are running in fear for their jobs, but it kind of did the job it was supposed to. Working on the back seat this afternoon. See if I got it in shot. There it is. I've got the webbing on it. Now I'm working on the foam. And for cutting foam, sure plenty of you have these. Yep, that's right, old electric carving knife. Never used it for anything but foam. And for shaping it, sandpaper, better yet, a small rotary tool. Dog's board. Okay, so what we wound up doing here for ours is rather than lap the whole frame with its opening onto the front, we made 2 pieces. This one, I had some 050 stock. It happens to be 6061 around, and it's going to be better vertical. So And then from the inside, are you gonna let me in?
Put your nose this way.
Wonder Dog kind of getting into it again. We went ahead and made, I'm gonna have to film it from the other side. Next life, I need a bigger barn. All right, there's Grumpy Gus in there. Can you pull that fuel line forward just a little bit? Okay, no, don't bend it out, just pull it forward. There we go. So back in there, I used the bead roller and made a channeled inside. And so, works is it'll allow me to take the entire window frame out. Yes, I know, you're so abused. It'll allow us to take the entire window frame out when we want to put the window in there rather than try and slide it in from an end. And theoretically, I'm not going to walk all the way around again, but it should keep this surface more flush on the far side between the front door. Does that really matter? I don't know. Personal preference. Maybe I overcomplicated things. It kind of hurt. They had some nice flush riveting in there I drilled out, but it is what it is. I painted all the doors. All right, the interim update. I'm out here with Jill and Wonder Dog, who's trying out her spot in the airplane. We're gonna take this apart again, I'm sure. So Jill and I have been working on the panel. I'm gonna see about flipping this around. So we've got the panel in here. There we go. Let's try and do this way. Right now we're considering going to an MGL panel, and eventually we'd like to be able to upgrade it from what we would call light IFR. We live, and fly not far off the Lake Michigan shoreline, so we have a lot of weather. And this is just a rough layout of the panel. And the blue tape, it is either holding something on like a cutout representing full size. Right now we're looking at the MGL stuff. Or it is our way of laying out and seeing if we have enough room for everything we think we want to put in the airplane. And we're a little undecided. Certainly flying heavy IFR in this airplane is not something we're looking to do. It can be really useful near the lake or near the ocean, though, as a way of getting yourself through that 200-foot, thick or 500-foot layer of overcast. We're going to do a heated Pitot Tube. Regardless, northern Illinois, southeast Wisconsin, it gets cold, it gets damp, and Pitot Tubes freeze, something I go through on the aircraft I used to teach in 2, 3, 4 times a winter. We just be okay on the ground. As soon as you got up 1,000 feet, all the instruments would freeze up. Kind of annoying, and something I don't want to have to deal with on this airplane. So we'll get a heated Pitot Tube. A couple of other updates. Windows. Say hi to the window, dog. And so we cut the back window here. I can't say we did it differently. Again, instructions are open to interpretation. I read what other people did and made decisions off a couple of options. However, if you can see in here, so I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know if this was supposed to come from the kit, but we put it in, it's screwed in. I don't know, you can see all the countersunk, I think, screw heads. I've got a few in there just holding the frame in place, keeps it out of the way. And so this one, but on the far side, I was still concerned from everything I was reading about how we were going to deal with the window over there. It seems like it's probably going to be Lexan, and if we get gas off a wingtop, it's going to screw up the Lexan. That's the one thing about polycarbonate. It doesn't like fuel. Or maybe it will wind up being plexi and we'll heat warp it to match what we need. But what I wound up doing in here, hang on.
All right, so we're in another part of the Skunk Works, and, well, all right, I've been tinkering again. So here's the deal with my Bearhawk, though. Where safety is concerned, where the running gear is concerned, the airframe, parts that make the airplane fly, I'm staying pretty well on the reservation. So I, got my copy of AC-43 through TB, and we're doing everything to aircraft spec. However, if I wanted to just buy an airplane and I'm going to have $120,000, I'm guessing, in this by the time it flies. And that includes us doing some fairly extreme things, like we're overhauling the top end of the engine and stuff. We're paying a mechanic to help, and that's still coming up ahead. But there are some areas I want to try some things, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to try and keep it out of critical areas. Talked last month about the fuel valve, and I don't know, maybe I'm on my way to solving that problem with the help of, let's see if I can get it up here, some parts to make it universal and an extension. Rather than make it, I think I can do it off a 1/4-inch socket extension and universal and get that back under my hand. But we're looking at having to get the interior in. And so, especially for those of you who've been EA or are EAA members, one of the things you're allowed to do, you've been allowed to do, is download SolidWorks. And so let me show you kind of what I've been working on here. And so, what we have here are a couple of solutions for things I am hoping to use to hold my interior panels in. And this was my first attempt, and it was very clever in a way. It's hinged, and it would clamp around the tubing, and it would snap fit, and that would give me a place to put my fastener in. This was designed for a key that would work, and in the end, this wound up being overly clever. The cool thing about this particular item is these were 3D printed, and I have a 3D printer, and it's one piece. This is one print. Okay. My newest solution to that problem are these clips, and at the end here I have a simple push rivet, and it's actually I can tear this one out now. I've had it in and out, pretty secure. So up on my screen, here's my SolidWorks model for this part, and what we have, and you're probably going dizzy because I'm seeing all kinds of effects on the screen, is 3D printer, my Anycubic i3 Mega that I bought a couple years ago. And I've done some other parts with it over time. If you've seen the escutcheons on something like the crank handle on a Stinson, the sprung one, and I think they're actually originally, they may have been Ford or Chrysler parts, but I wanted to see if I could reproduce one. This one was made from a Stinson, and I kind of screwed it up, but you can see it's a snap fit part with a steel spring in it, and finished up and painted. I never put it in. This is ABS. I would have in the production part, I would have put this in a basically a coffee can with a couple of paper towels soaked in acetone. The acetone would smooth the plastic out, and painted. That would actually look pretty nice, and it would certainly be very functional. And I could do these for a fraction. I think they want, I don't know, 15 bucks a piece of flat arrow or something. A fraction of the price of which I could have bought them for. And at any rate, so my plan is to use push rivets to hold my interior in. One of my little 3D printed clips, clipped on. I can turn it, but boy, it's not going to fall off there. So I seem to have the right amount of spring in it. So I don't know if these will work for everything, or maybe I'm going to need a couple variations. Let me see if I can get a picture of this from the inside. Oh, yeah, there it is. So there's where my washer would go. Anyway, don't know if that'll work or not. Hopefully we'll find out soon enough, because I've got some other stuff coming up. All right, so I told you guys I was going to show you how I did those reinforcing plates for my doors, and then completely hosed it up. So I thought the camera was running on video. It was apparently running on photo, and I wasn't getting anything. So I'm going to close out this video. I'm going to quickly do a sample. And so the only time I use this is when I'm doing non-structural parts, and by non-structural I don't even mean I would use this to do a boot cowl, or if I'm repairing something like a crack in a cowl
where there's an overlap that won't allow me to use normal rivets, okay? This is not a replacement for structure. The area I'm talking about is like right at this door frame, right? I can't have anything sticking out that's tight against, tight against the other material. Or I've come back to shoot this, so this is stuff that you'll see in the next video. But if you were repairing a crack near where a cowl overlapped, right? I've got metal behind here, so I can't have a normal shop head of a rivet sticking out. You certainly don't want the shop head sticking out towards you and marring the surface. So I'm just gonna do this sample for you to show you how I do this, and you can use it as you see fit. So I've got my piece. Let's see, hold it up here. I've drilled it. This is actually a screwed up. You can see where a door hinge went through. This is on the lower cowl that we wound up replacing. We'll get into that in the next video. It was not the fault of the manufacturer. We altered something. It's been drilled, clecoed and drilled and cleaned out, and hopefully you can see it. Those holes have been countersunk a little bit, countersunk a little bit to give them a little bit of an angle, something for the rivet to bite to. Just using some 3/32 rod end I had laying around. And the reason I like the welding rod is it's really soft. So I don't need to be hyper accurate. If my hole's just a skosh oversized or out of round, it's so soft it just expands to fill the space. So I'm going to see if I can knock a couple of these in for you and show you the result. This is a piece of 3/32 rod. I'm getting ready to cut it off. Hopefully, will you focus? Yeah, it'll focus-ish. I filed the end so it's a little square. You don't want a big nubby on the downside. So I'm going to cut a couple of these and we'll go ahead and pop those in. So there are my rivets, my finger for scale. They're tiny. Why use this instead of countersunk rivets? Well, usually I'm doing this material that won't take a normal countersunk rivet without dimpling, which would defeat the purpose. And so I'm going to move the clecodes around to tighten it up. We'll knock a few of these in. Hopefully you can see that. I've got my rivet in there. The flat end is down. That's going to make a head on the other side. And the first couple hits with a hammer, I'm not going to press it down too tight. I want to get kind of a flared head, mushroom head down there, and then we will whack the whole thing tight. As far as hammers, you can use whatever you want. Closest one at hand is my ball peen. This is probably a little big. However, it's really important. The head in here needs to be, are you gonna focus or not? Yeah, there it goes. You need a not chewed up hammerhead, and obviously a waffle head. A small planishing hammer, like I use for beating the aluminum, is probably about the best thing. And so let's see if I can do this and film. Probably not. So we're gonna set the camera here and see how this works. So hopefully you guys can see this. I've got my rivet in, or what will be my rivet, I hope. And I do this with 3/32. I've done it with 1/8, and I'm gonna tap it a few times. What I'm trying to do, let's see if we can get it lined up here, is I just want it through the hole. There we go. See how this works. This is really short-handed. Probably gonna lose sight here. Now I'm gonna take it out of here. Give it a couple more swats. The goal is not to hit it too hard. You want to kind of mimic the pressure of a pneumatic hammer. So I'm just gonna give it a couple. See, these are coming out for the most part nice and flat, and if not, I could dress them with a sander or file very quickly. And I don't know if you can see it, they're not quite perfect, but this would be my outside. That's what I would strive to do. And you could do this with an air hammer and a dolly, preferably another set of hands. A couple coats of paint on there, and you really would have a very tough time seeing those. If this one is sticking up probably a few hundredths of an inch, I doubt it's a 32nd even. Most of these are flat. I can just skate my thumbnail basically right over it. This is what my inside would be. And again, I was trying to work in film, so this isn't my neatest work. And again, maybe 32nd of an inch is my highest stick up. Maybe that one just a skosh more. But I could very quickly go in with a Dremel or something and dress those down. And that would be the side toward a door frame or cowl or whatever. So you can see it wouldn't be enough to keep you from closing it. I hope that hopes to help somebody. Maybe, maybe not. I've done some cowl cracks that way. As I said, where I had overlaps, and no good way to rivet it. So it was kind of throw it out, or, you know, I could drill it, but I wasn't happy with how that reinforced it. I felt it needed some reinforcing. You know, like, comment, subscribe if you want. If you have questions, typically for every 20 minutes you see, I've filmed an hour and 15 or an hour and 20 minutes, and I kind of try to wheedle it down to the stuff I think might be most useful, whether it's explaining my thought processes, how I'm deciding what to do for those who are maybe new to building or new to this kind of a project, or you know, something maybe we glossed over. I know we had a couple cases with videos where people had really good ideas, but they didn't show good detail. Let me know, and I'll try and include it. I'm going to do a separate video probably in the next week going over some of the tools we have here. As we get into the boot cowl, you're going to see more and more tool usage, some of what I like, don't like, and some of the stuff we have around here. I'm not suggesting everybody buy it, but I have a few tools I really like, and I want to share that with you guys. And next update, probably not so far away. You saw in the background of this video, a lot of the boot cowl's done. And we have some stuff to share on how we did that, how we made decisions. Anyway, you guys take care, and we'll see you next time. Just let it come down. Great shape. Beautiful. Come on, pull, 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 pull. Keep pulling. Pull, pull, pull.